Hello, everybody. Yes, I am wearing glasses. And the reason for that is because my doctor, my eye doctor says I need bifocals. Apparently, when guys get at the age of between 40 and 45, their eyesight starts screwing up. And I want to get back into writing my fiction and reading my books. I'm a big fan of Sandra Brown's books, and I haven't been able to read them lately. And when I was still attending my group sessions, my AA and NA and all that stuff, when I was still doing that, um, we would all take turns reading, and I find myself doing this. Just a little Netflix paper here. But I was reading, and I would go like this, you know. So I got to wear the bifocals. Now, my original plan was to just wear them when I need to, but my lady suggested to me that I get used to wearing them all the time. And it's already making me a little wacky because when I'm looking at someone, I can't look through the part that helps me see close up, because if I do, it gets blurry and I go like I did just now. But that's okay because it helps me keep my head upright and I can actually look people in the eye a little bit better. That reflection on my glasses is tricky. Weird. Anywho, I'll try to do something about that later. I can't seem to get that reflection off my glasses. But anyway, to the point. You're going to see me wearing these glasses quite often. I'll try to reduce that glare so that my eyes don't look too jacked up. That's a little bit better. Anyway, I thought for this video, I'd like to tell you a little story about something my mother did for me when I was a child. I was not quite a child. I was a minor. I was about 14, I think, 14 or 15. At that time, I had a friend. My best friend at that time was a real bad influence on me. I'll call him DP. And that's all I'm going to say is DP. And he and I had we sort of came up with this idea. I thought it was just kind of a discussion and joking around kind of thing. And at the time, we were going to rent a bunch of video games from the local video store back in the day when we had video stores. And we were just going to rent them and keep them. We weren't going to ever give them back. Now, he didn't have an account, and his mother didn't have an account at this video store, but my mother did. So I would have had to rent this stuff out in her name. Now, this is way back in the day. This is back in before the Super Nintendo. In fact, it was just called NES. Those old-fashioned old cartridges, you know. And at the time, I thought it was a funny, cool idea. I was a very naive kid, I admit it, and I was going to go through with it. But then my conscience kind of got the better of me. So I felt terrible, and I hadn't even done anything yet. So I told my mother about this, and my mother, she intervened. I was very pleased with her for doing that in the long run. That, in fact, the very day I told her, I shouldn't say long run, because what happened was she took me to meet a guy, a cop, a guy named Mike Santiago. He's long since retired now. But see, this guy, Mike Santiago, officer, detective, whatever, he was a coworker of my father's before he became a cop. So he was kind of a family friend, this guy. And when I told my mom what was happening or about to happen, the first thing she did was bring me to my family friend. our family friend. And Mike sat me down. He had a good chat with me about doing the right thing and staying out of trouble. And a couple things happened that surprised me while I was talking to Officer Santiago. First of all, it turns out my friend DP had a very bad reputation with the police that I didn't even know about. Because the second I mentioned his name to Mike, he says, "Oh yeah, I know who that guy is." And I heard, yeah, he's like, "We got problems with this guy." And he didn't give me like details, but yeah, he was a bit of a bad person to, the cops. He was on the cops' radar, put it that way. And when he realized who I was talking about, whoa, boy, and I learned, the hard way that my friend was not a good friend. Now, something funny did come out of the story because at this time, Mike Santiago was not in uniform anymore. He was, I think he was a detective. He was, because he had a suit and tie and everything. And while I was talking with him, he had this other guy sitting in there, just sitting there, basically, And I think that dude might have been a snitch because he just kind of seemed like he was a bit aggravating to Mike Santiago. He was very aggravating. And the guy sat there quietly after, at first. And I don't know, you could just tell the vibes between Mike and this other guy. Clearly that other dude wasn't a cop. Okay. Yeah. But in the middle of our conversation, it went from I'm being lectured by Officer Santiago to a little funny moment that I reminisced with him. And I started to tell him about this time when I had seen him when he was still in uniform. I lived in this place that had 5 apartments in it. I was upstairs in apartment 5, Mulberry Street in New Jersey. And there was a disturbance downstairs in apartment 2, right? Remember, this is what I'm telling him. And I said, "Yeah, man, I saw you guys down there having to deal with those people. And I remember this one guy, he stepped to one of your partners like he was going to start some stuff, 15 years old. That's how I was talking. Yeah, man, like he was going to start some stuff, right? But that dude came at one of your boys, and that's when you pulled out that stick, like Bruce Lee. And that dude backed off real quick. You know what I'm saying?" I talked like a damn fool, didn't I? But the second I said that, Mike looks at the other guy, right? And the other guy goes, "I know, man. I know. I know. I know." Mike says, "You hear what he said, right?" Mm-hmm. "Did you hear what he said?" "That's right." "I don't fuck around." I was like, ooh. Now, sadly, after that, it went back to just being the lecture in the conversation. Yeah. So, but that was a really good moment. That was a really sweet moment between my mother and me. And I love that she did that, I really appreciated that she was a hands-on kind of parent, the kind of woman that, if she saw something going down with her kid, any of her kids, she'd make sure to, deal with that before any trouble comes up. And I will always treasure her for doing that for me. Because who knows where I'd be right now if not for her. If not for her, making that decision for me to talk to Officer Santiago. It was a sweet moment. You know, I came home and I talked to my mother, my brother, and my stepdad at the time. My stepdad is a Jamaican fellow named Roy. If you're watching, how you doing, buddy? But yeah, it was an awesome moment, and I loved it. So that's all. I just wanted to reminisce with you guys about my mother. And there's actually another story I'll tell you about DP in another video, but I'll make that one another time. Right now, this video, I don't want it to go too long. So thank you for listening, and I hope you like my glasses. I hate these things, but I gotta wear them. Anyway, thanks for watching. I love you all. and have a good night.